So right around 3 years ago, I decided that I really wanted to be a dad. And I wanted to figure out what the best way for me to do that was. I thought about the normal, hey, find a wife, get married, have a kid situation. But I really wasn't interested in being a spouse. I really just wanted to be a dad. Uh, I guess I'm not very patient. But also thinking about it, I was like, you know what? I don't think I really want to deal with surrogacy because of all the legal issues involved and the expense. And as I was looking at stuff, I came across this article where this guy was a foster dad to several kids throughout his life. And I thought, oh wow, that was a really interesting thing. And it was kind of like in the back of my head. And next thing I know is at the airport traveling for work, and the Dave Thomas Foundation had something on TV, the telethon for finding kids homes, and it kind of just clicked. And it's like, that's what I need to look into. I need to start looking into fostering, because I thought that would be a great way where I can really see if I would be a good person to be a father, and I would have the ability to help someone who really needs it. So the first thing I did was I talked to my boss, because I knew he adopted his kids, and plus I travel for my job and wouldn't be able to travel if I did this. So I talked to him about the situation. He was really supportive of everything, and he actually told me about a couple other people who do the fostering, so I could talk to them and get a good idea of how I want to go about this. After talking to my boss and making sure that we changed my job duties so I wouldn't travel, next I looked at contacting the agencies. So I started with Illinois Division of Family Services, and I waited. So this is the one part where I'm going to tell you, do not be patient, because that first call, if you call directly to the state, you never know if you're going to get a call back. So that's the one time you don't be patient. After about 2 weeks, I called them again and again and again, and I finally got a hold of someone, and they led me to an agency to start my whole entire process to get licensed as a foster parent. So after talking to the licensing agency about how it all works, we started the whole visit process. So they did a house visit. They asked me a whole bunch of questions, and then they gave me a questionnaire to complete and everything like that. Pretty standard stuff. It was neat. The house visit was not a big deal. It wasn't like they were checking to make sure that everything was vacuumed and super clean. Now, of course, my house was fairly clean at the time, but I wouldn't say it was immaculate. They basically checked for the fire extinguisher, they checked for the smoke alarms, and they checked to make sure my hot water wasn't too hot. I also asked if I had a gun, and if I did, if it would make sure it was locked up. But after that, they started talking about the courses of what you have to take. There were about 12 classes that you had to take. I was able to take them online, which is good and bad, because the online classes you can kind of click, and skip. I would highly recommend, if you do it that way, if you do take the classes, to really take a step back and think about everything that you're reading, because a lot of it you think is, oh yeah, that seems simple. But when you take a step back and think of it from the eyes of the child, it makes a big difference. Like, for example, just the whole getting placed. I think everyone gets excited about a placement coming in, but for that child, that's a completely different view, because they don't know what they're getting into. The experience with my caseworker, she was great. She answered all my questions. She gave me what I felt was really honest answers. And, like she told me that 55% of the kids who go into foster care get reunified with their parents, which is awesome. Sometimes it's a little scary, but it's actually a really good thing. Hopefully everyone is, hopefully all these parents are getting what they need to do to have their kids to raise. Unfortunately, that means 45% of the kids don't get reunified, which is pretty sad. And they either hopefully get adopted, or sometimes they age out, and that's sad too. So after the courses, they also checked some references, and we did a fingerprint test. Super fun. Overall, the licensing process took about 6 months. I think I started in January, took classes in February, and then was licensed by June. It's slow. especially when you're going through it and you think, oh yeah, we'll fly through this, bam, bam, bam. That's not how it works. I live in the state of Illinois. We're kind of notorious for being slow, especially when we're talking the government, but they did a great job, if you ask me. After that came the waiting period, and this is the time where you really have to really focus on your patients. There are people who get placements right away. There are people who don't get placements for a very long time. For me, my first placement came in about 2 months, and I feel like they really waited to find the right match for me, and which I really appreciate, especially being a brand new foster dad who's never had any experience being a father before. There's also a couple other home visits during that time. There's like one in the middle and one at final. Again, they basically check the fire extinguishers, the smoke detectors, and the water to make sure everything was safe there. Did check around, make sure everything did look like safe. I didn't have anything too crazy going out there. Nothing was too out of line. They didn't expect perfection. Again, they did not expect perfection. You didn't need to have your house to be immaculate. So that's the overall process in a nutshell. In future episodes, we'll talk about my first placement and the experiences I learned from there, schools and daycare, and I have a couple other topics that I already know that we're going to have out there. Again, if you want to check out the page that my son and I have, it's called SillyPots. It's a lot of fun. Please do so. And if you are interested in this, please click that like button, subscribe. And if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. I will try to answer them. Again, I'm not an expert. I'm not a social worker. I'm not a parenting expert. I can just tell you what I've gone through in my experience, but I will try to address everything there, or I'll respond back with maybe a resource which you can go out to. All right, again, thank you again for watching. Have a great one. Bye.